Welcome, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I'm going to have another interview tonight with a friend of mine from Beirut, Lebanon, Dr. Manal Naboulsi. Is that correct, Naboulsi?
Yes, that's correct.
Who is a fellow student of mine at the International School of Management in Paris, France. She got her doctorate in business there. In addition, and more importantly, she is now a coach, a lifetime coach, a life coach, and certified by whoever the people are that certify such people. And I've been watching her social media recently, and she's done a couple of fascinating seminars, and one was on the several different stages of relationships. So I'd like to hear about what's going on in Beirut. I'd like to hear about relationships and then about some of her other seminars that are happening today. So Dr. Manal, how are you?
Hi, Brian. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are things in Beirut? Let us know, have you reopened the beaches yet?
The beaches, not yet, but the resorts are now open and there is some measurement that they're taking. We're having a bit of a lockdown after 7 p.m. But during the day, we're still going out. The shopping areas are open, and there are some areas that are now available for us to go and to enjoy, as the restaurants and everything. But the beaches are not yet open, although the weather is really hot now.
How hot?
But we have the resorts with swimming pools that are available for us starting today, which is really good. And I hope it will work out. I hope people would just obey to the rules and not be crowded all the times, because nowadays everyone wants the summer and wants the pool. So everyone is going on their rooftops and having these inflatable pools so they could sit and enjoy the weather.
Inflatable pools on rooftops?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, really? Are these just in people's apartments or for restaurants or bars or what?
In people's apartments.
Really?
Mainly. Yep.
And how hot is hot?
How is 30 degrees Celsius.
So that's hot.
Yep, it is.
Is that typical for May in Beirut?
No, not at all. Sometimes we could have such a weather in August, but not in May. So last week it was a bit like 20, 22 degrees, and from one day to another day, it just popped up to a 30 degree, and it was really hot.
So I presume all the leaves are out and the blossoms are done and summer's on you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So Manal, you've been posting a bunch of really interesting podcasts on relationships, and one of them was the 7 stages or something like that?
The 5 stages in relationship.
What are the 5 stages in relationship?
Wow. Those are the best stages that anyone could pass through. The fact is that whenever we go in relationship, we don't know that we have different stages to reach the commitment. So the first stage that we go through is the stage, we call it the love and the intimacy stage, where in that stage we have the euphoria, and you have everything that is beautiful in that relationship, as long as the couple are seeing the similarities between each of them. So it's like the fantasy phase, we call it, the honeymoon phase as well. So everything is beautiful. We only see the similarities between each of the couples, and we have so much endorphin, the happy hormones in our body that are flooding inside of us. So we only have beautiful moments, and we're not having any problems in it. And that stage can be between, or can last between a month to 2 years mainly, but the average of it is like a 3-month average of a euphoria or attraction and romance stage, and they focus a lot on their similarities. So they ignore all the imperfections and the flaws that goes in their personalities. So that's the first stage. The second stage is we call it the stage of the reality, which is where the differences starts to appear. And that stage would begin to happen whenever we start having or seeing the differences we have between each other. That is the differences in the way that we feel, the way that we do, the way that we make things, the way that we process things. So that stage, sometimes it can last up to 6 months. And in that stage, we sometimes think, oh, is that the person that I've met in phase 1? Why did he change? Or is that the girl that I've met her? Where are the flowers that he used to get me every day, or where are her calls, or the service that she used to do me. So it's the stage where we question mark a lot, and we have lots of insecurities in it, and we're asking if this would last, if the love or the person that I met in stage one, if he is that real person, or he was only just trying to do something just to get me at first. So that stage would lead us to a third stage, which is...
Okay, hold it. So it sounds to me
Yes.
like that stage is a difficult stage to get through and out of. A lot of relationships must end during that stage.
Exactly. No, and not in stage 2. They ended in stage 3 mainly.
Oh, okay.
Mainly everything ends or flourishes in stage 3. Whereas stage 2, it's like you're questioning. You cannot understand what's going on between the old person that you met and the new person that you're seeing. In fact, he's not changing, or she's not changing or doing anything. It's the fact that the stages and the commitment and the need to put in that relationship is no more needed that much, because you got the girl, or you got the person that you want, or you got the man that you want. You don't need to put again the efforts that you used to put in stage 1, and you have the endorphin that is that was really in stage 1 very high. It has to cool down in a certain way for your adrenaline to get back into basics. You get back into the track of your life. You don't need to make lots of things to get back the person, because you know that there is a love and there is connection. So over here we're just seeing the differences, and you wonder if you are still in love, and if this relationship can proceed or can go on into another stage. So this is why we go in stage 3.
Okay,
stage
hold
3,
on. We're going to take a break for a
Yes.
message and come back.
Yeah. Okay.
On stage 3. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're chatting tonight with Dr. Manal Naboulsi, a life coach from Beirut, Lebanon, and she's taken us through the 5 stages of relationships. And Manal, you were just about to go into stage 3. What's stage 3?
Stage 3, we call it the disappointment stage. Okay, it's the hardest stage because everything in it is like a routine. So in that stage, the couple spend about 1 year in that stage working on their differences in an effort to get an unhealthy relationship. So if you're able to communicate in a healthy way and to not to compete all the time with your partner, you could just progress into later on. If you know how to communicate, if you know how to understand that you are different than your partner, that stage 1 would not get back into another stage, and that you can move on by communicating, by understanding their needs, by understanding their love language, by understanding what they need. So if they can come out from that stage with understanding and love, knowing that that they want to commit or to be committed together, they can move on later on. So this is the stage where we say it's the hardest one, because if they don't commit, this is where the breakup would happen. This is where divorces happen. This is where they just leave, and someone would want to leave that relationship. So we have to know that conflict happens in relationship, and it's very natural that we have to move on from stage 1 to 2 to 3. We have to understand that we are not similar, and we have to understand that we have to make an effort to sustain or have a healthy relationship. So these conflicts are or can come from the needs, from the love language. We have different kinds of love languages, from the different background that we live in, from the way that we are used to in life in treating ourselves, or the envision and the goals that we want. We're not meeting ourselves in the same goals and the same way. And the needs, the emotional, sexual, mental, and physical needs that we want from each other. We have to be clear what I need from that relationship and what I need from that person. I need to tell him that I'm expecting 1, 2, 3 in that relationship, and fourth, I need to let my partner partner tell me exactly what he needs in that relationship and why I want that relationship, what I expect from it to happen, and what I need him to do.
In your
That's
experience,
really important, the needs.
in your experience, Manal, do people actually sit down and talk about with their partner what their needs are?
Yeah, definitely. There, at first, we're in love. We only see the similarities. We don't care if he's different than me. But the thing is, whenever we go into stage 2 and then stage 3, we see the differences. So we have to sit and talk and write down what I expect from him and what he expects from me. And he has to write down exactly a list of things that he expects from that relationship. What are the things that he's expecting? Does he need me to be physically for him whenever needed? How does he define infidelity? If I go out with my male friends, would that bother him? We need to communicate all of these, because we're over here in a team. Okay, we're not living separately.
But
We
most
have
most people don't do that, do they? They don't go through and write down a statement of their needs. It sounds almost like a contract.
it is like a contract. Otherwise, how would you know how to handle the problems later on? Are you just trying to just throw the problems to the future, and you would say, okay, I'll try to solve the problems in the future, or if things doesn't happen, we'll break up? Why would you want to think of the worst case scenarios? Why won't you think of the best case scenarios of each of the issues? Why do you want to have an unhealthy relationship? Don't you want to sustain relationships?
One of the things you mentioned is talking about how often you want intimacy. Isn't that natural? Is that something you actually talk about, the frequency of?
Exactly. How it's not about how often we want intimacy, how we want the intimacy, and how we can increase that desires. Because at sometimes there are some fluctuations in the emotions that we have. We have to be clear about all the things that we need from that partner. If we're not satisfied in a sexual way, we need to admit and need to say to make that relationship better. Because if I start seeing some void in that relationship, definitely one of the person will start seeking that outside the relationship. We don't want that to happen outside the relationship. If the partner is over here to fulfill those needs and to come up with creative ideas just to be committed and connected more together, intimately, physically, morally, and emotionally, this is where we have a healthy, sustainable relationship for the future.
Okay.
Okay, so
that's
that's stage 3. So this is where the partners would stay together or leave each other. Okay, so if they stay together, that would lead them to stage 4, which we call it the stability stage. Okay, if they navigate already perfectly from the unstable phase of stage 3, that would make them go into the stability, which is more enjoying, resting. We now understand that we have two different people working as a team. Okay, and there is a we, and there is 100% commitment from her and 100% commitment from him. So there is not 50-50. I have to put 100%, and I have to focus on what I am putting, and I have to focus on what I am giving to that relationship. So in that stage, the couple they have a history together, and they've been working throughout all the difficulties and the differences of stage 2 and 3. So the fantasy of stage 1 is completely gone in a certain way. We're not no more wanting to have the desires. So this is why sometimes you have people who have lots of relationship. They love to stay in stage 1. So you see them going on from one relationship to another. They just don't try to move on to stage 2 because they love the fantasy stage. So over here, we're okay. We understand that stage 1 cannot happen again, but we can presume or we can resume the action and the love, because we have history together, we have love, and we have connection, and we feel more connected together. We want to preserve that communication, and we know exactly there are sometimes we are bored from each other. Sometimes we think about having the euphoria of the stage one, but we know that if we want to commit to that partner, we need to move a bit forward so we could go to the stage, which is the stage 5, the commitment.
The commitment. And how long does it take to get to commitment stage?
Depending on the clients, depending on how strong the clients can maintain or can go from stage to stage. Let's say from stage one can last between 2 to 2 years between couples. Stage 2 can last up to 6 months. Stage 3 can last around 2 years, depending how much they're going to fight and understand each other, breaking in and out and going in back and forth in that relationship. Stage 5, it can happen whenever the couples are 100% sure that they want to be committed together. That would be in marriage, that would be in getting more connected, committed. It could be not marriage, it could be they commit, they live with each other, they get children sometimes. So they become a team, and they have passed through all the things, and they know they will always have some conflicts, and they will always have different ideas. They understand each other, and they understand that they are not alike, but at the same time they are mature, and they want the sustainable relationship and love that can last for them. So this is.
Do most people wait till they've gone through these 5 stages before they commit, or do people commit too early and then end up having major hiccups because they commit after stage 1 or in stage 3?
Yes, there are so many people who would commit after stage 1, and this is where problem occurs. This is where we start having all the problems and all the things that we want in that relationship, because you're not born with an education about love. We don't have an education how to sustain a relationship. There are no books and courses before you get married that would teach you how to do it, because you just assume that love can rescue everything. Whereas in fact, it shows that we have lots of divorce nowadays. I'm talking about in Lebanon, for example. I don't know in Canada how it is, but in Lebanon, we have a very high ratio of divorce, and I'm one of them. So when I divorced, I didn't know exactly, because I was in phase 1, and I said yes because I was enjoying, and I was really young, and not a thinker at all at that time. I was so naive, I would say. I was taken by the love, and at that point I said, okay, what do I want more? He loves me, he can do everything to me, I enjoy my time with him, why not? I could marry him. So I had this picture that love after marriage would stay forever, because this is what they taught us. Remember Cinderella?
Yep.
Remember all these movies that would show you that love would conquer everything, and forever they would be forever in love. So this is what we had in our mind. This is what I had in my mind. So this is what happened, or it happens to mostly all the people. They think that it can really sustain, or the love can sustain and can be defeated at the end. But what happened is, when we started a relationship, there are so many conflicts that arises in that relationship, and we get surprised how someone we like a lot can really activate the worst part in us. So this is where we start conflicting with each other, and we're not okay with it. We're just wondering what's going on.
So what happened with your marriage? Did you go into stage 2 or stage 3 and not get out of it?
Yep, exactly. So I got married. I was like 22, 23 years old, and it lasted for 5 years exactly. Although I knew him 3 years before marriage. We were going out for 3 years before marriage, but it was the euphoria. It was the stage of the euphoria. I saw in him everything that I wanted about man. So it started to show that he is not the person that I want to be with. His goals became different than my goal. I had bigger goals. He didn't want to grow with me. I wanted to finish my master's, then do my PhD. I wanted to work more, and I wanted to have to achieve better goals and to work on myself, he was all the time shutting me off and not letting me grow in a certain way. So our life started drifting away. And
at such a young age, you clearly would have gone through a lot of growth between your early 20s and 30.
Yes, exactly. So when I started developing myself, I woke up one day and I said to myself, if I'm going to continue that life with that person, I will stay where I am, and I will be losing a lot of my dreams. And if I stay with him, I'm only doing that because he wants me to stay and because he wants me to continue that family, because we had a daughter at that time. So I said to myself, my daughter, one day she's going to have her life and she's going to grow and to enjoy life better than me. So if I'm going to stay in that unhealthy marriage, I would only give her the unhealthy lifestyle. So I said to myself, I had to leave the house. I had to file for divorce and let go of that marriage because it was only a fairy tale for me. And I chose the wrong person. I chose the wrong person because inside of me, I was insecure. I had so many things inside of me that were not developed at 22 years. I was really young. And I saw in him the person that I don't want to spend my life with. I want to spend my life with someone who would grow with me, who would love me. So it turned out that it was only the dopamine, the hormones of happiness that drove me to marry that person. But I didn't think in a wise way. I was only following my heart. I didn't follow the right decision. I was really young at that time.
We're chatting with Dr. Manal Naboulsi about relationships. Stay with us. We're going to take a quick break for messages and be right back with you. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're chatting tonight with Dr. Manal Naboulsi, a life coach from Beirut, Lebanon. And Manal, I thought you were a life coach. Sounds like you're more a marriage counselor, a relationship counselor.
Well, sorry. When I started the life coaching, I started as a career coach. And then by time when I started seeing people coming to me and asking me for advices about relationship and so forth, I started giving more into the field of wellness and love and relationship, because I myself had entered all of this and I wanted to understand what was going on after my divorce. So in healing myself, I had lots of people to heal themselves in that thing and to understand exactly how to choose the right person and how to be confident about what they want, how to understand what is love, how to understand exactly what are the needs, because you cannot go into a relationship and bringing with you the child trauma that you have, or bringing with you the bad habits that you had from different relationships or from the old relationship. So whenever we go in a relationship, we actually bring with us sometimes the child inside of us, and we try to have this bad behavior on our partner. So this is why sometimes we need to heal ourselves from inside. We need to understand that the past is only in the past. We cannot just think about it and keep on dragging the old baggage inside the new relationship later on.
Sounds like you must have gone through a fair amount of introspection and work when you got divorced and before you became this life coach and now a relationship coach.
Mm-hmm. What was your question? Sorry.
It just sounds like you went through quite a process, learning about yourself and.
Yes, exactly. It's the beautiful process of it, because you understand exactly where did you go wrong, what happened, and to forgive yourself in certain times. Because there are some times in my life after my divorce, I was like, why did I do this? I started blaming myself and accusing myself and ashamed myself. And I was really a bit of a fear of committing or being committed again, because I had this past experience and I was like, but what if this would happen again? What if I don't meet the right person? What if there is something wrong in me? So you question all of these. So you cannot forgive and let go of the past unless you start healing yourself, healing that inner child inside of you, to let go of all these, we call them limiting beliefs that we have. They're limiting your life. There are a certain belief system inside of you, and they're limiting your life in a certain way because someone put them in your mind, or you kept on repeating them and you believe them. So one of the major thing is to heal and to forgive and to let go of the past so we could move on and have a better future.
Heal, forgive, and move on from the past. Sounds like a great recipe. Now, Manal, you've recently posted a podcast, an IGTV, about don't compete with your partner, complete them. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, okay. So what happens is that whenever we're in a relationship, okay, we're trying all the time to compete with our partner about the things that we do all the time. That is how much I'm investing time and hours versus how much is investing. If I'm taking care of the kids and I have so many things to do in the house, and I have my work, and I have the laundry to do, and I have to call his mom, and I have to do these things. I have so many, the big list. And whenever he comes back home and he's like, he wants to have sex, let's say. And I was like, don't you see, I have all of these lists, and you come over here and you think of the pleasure. The thing is over here is he's not seeing the list, and he doesn't care about the list because you are responsible of your own list. You're responsible of what you want to do every day. You can delegate sometimes, you can do things, but that relationship needs commitment, needs connection. We cannot just say to that partner that we have lots of things, and what he's doing is less than what I'm doing, or what I'm doing is really more, he's not doing anything. It's not hour to hour. It's not based on how many hours we're doing. It's based on how value it is, the value that we have in that relationship. So the thing is, we're all the time competing. Whenever we compete with that partner, we're not showing him, I'm not over here to show him or to have a better score, that look at me, I'm doing better, and that will give me a better connection, or he will validate that. He's not responsible for what I need to do. I'm responsible for the things that I need to do in my life.
So you said the first thing, the most important thing is to do what?
Love yourself.
Why?
Mm-hmm. Why?
Why is that the most important thing?
Because if you can't love yourself, you can't give love. If you can't respect yourself and yourself, you cannot understand other people. You'll be just trying to please other people. So everything starts within us. Everything starts from inside. If we start loving ourselves and understanding what we want, and forgiving what happened in our life, in the past of our life, and letting go of all the pains, and being confident that everything happens in our life, we did it by consciousness, and we have a certain path that this happened to have a certain learning out of it. So this is why we say that everything starts within. Our love, the beautiness that we have, is from the soul. Is what you have from inside of you, from how you treat yourself. If you don't treat yourself good, how do you expect other people to treat you good? So everything starts within us. This is why love yourself first, so you could find the better life, so you could heal yourself, so you could enjoy life, so you could do better in life.
Well, that has been a fascinating conversation with Dr. Manal Naboulsi, a life coach, relationship coach, business person from Beirut, Lebanon. We're going to take a break for messages and be right back with a couple of concluding comments. Stay with us. Well, we're back on the Brian Crombie Radio Hour, Saga 960. So I really enjoyed this conversation about relationships with Dr. Manal Naboulsi from Beirut, Lebanon. As I mentioned, a life coach, a relationship coach. She's actually a business school professor. She's got her doctorate in business, PhD, I think, actually. And you know, it's interesting because she's gone through a divorce and now she coaches people on relationships. And some people would say, oh, well, someone that's gone through a divorce isn't the right person to coach people and tell people about relationships. But frankly, I think they are. Because as she said, the divorce got her to go through the deep thinking about who she was, what was right for her, finding her inner child again, and then go and do a lot of studies about what needed to be done to create successful relationships and successful marriages. And so I think that she is the right person to listen to. I really quite enjoy her Instagram is Coach Manal Naboulsi on Instagram, and she posts a lot of her IGTV videos there and podcasts. Some of them in languages I can't understand, but some in English, and so check it out. And the one thing that she mentioned that I really quite like is a book that I read that I think has a lot of lessons in it, and it's the 5 languages of love. And the point that Manal made in this book makes is that you've got to figure out what the love language is of your partner, and that different people are very different in what their love languages are. And I want to remind you, I've spoken about this before. I did a show on Valentine's Day actually about this, but what these love languages are, because I think to the extent that you can think about, what the languages are and what your partner's languages are, I think it's extremely helpful. So the first one is words of affirmation. Some people just need to hear what you think about them, and that they love you and encourage you, and that whatever it is that you're doing is appreciated. Second is physical touch. Clearly, some people just need to be touched, whether it's a sexual touch or an intimate touch or a romantic touch or just a soft touch, a handhold. Some people just need to be touched. Receiving gifts is number 3. Some people want to get gifts. They want to get flowers. They want to get chocolates. They want to get a card. That's what they want, whether it's expensive gifts or small gifts that mean something. They just want to be given gifts. Other people just want quality time. They don't care about the money. They don't care about the monetary things. They want a friend that they can spend time with, whether it be time talking. And I love Manal's idea of 10 minutes of a checkpoint every day with your partner, or whether it's just time cuddling up, watching TV together. And then the final one is acts of service, sort of, doing the laundry, washing the dishes, emptying the dishwasher, mowing the grass, calling your mom, whatever those acts of services are. So I think that those 5 languages, words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving gifts, quality time, and acts of service are really helpful things that Manal mentioned, that there's a book about, that I've talked about, that lots of people have talked about, that are helpful if you can figure out what are the right things for you and what are the right things for your partner. Anyway, that's Manal Naboulsi and Brian Crombie on the Brian Crombie Radio Hour, Saga 960. Good night.